Chaplain Dillard initiates creating and posting these videos. Their contents and YouTube's linked videos do not necessarily reflect specific beliefs, practices, requirements, or endorsements of the Department of Defense, its subordinate organizations, or other groups with which Chaplain Dillard is affiliated.
Welcome back. If you've followed the past 3 videos on trust, you know that we've looked at dynamics of trust, hindrances to trust, and pathways to trust. Those are some basic general principles that I hope you'll find helpful in whatever type of organization you want to apply them to, your family, your work team, sports team, outside of work, what have you. Now I'd like to offer some very specific strategies that I believe have universal application regardless of what type of group you're speaking about or concerned with. The first is to clearly delineate who is in charge. And that's not always clear. You wait till your dad gets home. Now what's the implied message there? Dad is the one in charge, but mom, who is there on site, really doesn't have a lot of authority. The person in charge, whoever that would be, the main supervisor or one of the parents, the coach, there needs to be vested authority given to the person who is most consistently there, meaning that they're present and they're available for the people to come to them, because not everybody who is physically present is equally available, and they have a good knowledge of what's going on. That just makes sense, because if dad, for example, in the family has the primary authority and does not verbalize to the kids that mom has authority while he's gone, everybody suffers. Same thing is true at work, same thing is true in a sporting team, same thing is true in any group. So there needs to be vested authority in front of the group to the person who is most consistently there, who is available, and who has good knowledge of the team. In many organizations, again, I'm primarily thinking here of work, but it can apply to families and other things too. We need to clarify and support specific hierarchies of authority in different subordinate teams. For example, there might be a group of kids who are teenagers within the family and younger kids. Who's in charge when the parent's gone? In a work organization, there might be several different teams to which specific individuals are different teams responsible. That needs to be clear to the members of the team, and there needs to be an alternate chain. If that person's not there, who's the go-to person then? And those hierarchies of responsibility, again, they need to have authority, not just responsibility. It's not fair to give somebody responsibility but not to give them authority. And again, that needs to be announced to the members of the team so everybody's on the same sheet of music, and it needs to be supported so they're not going around that chain of responsibility, they're not ignoring it, they're not going to somebody who doesn't have authority. That needs to be well articulated and enforced, not just in word, but in deed. Whenever possible, all groups need to flatten communications. Now, what I mean by that is consider, for example, the Army. If the Division Sergeant Major says he wants this information put out, and it goes to the Battalion Sergeant Major, and then it goes to the Company First Sergeant, and it goes to Platoon Sergeant, that process, depending on individual personalities, depending on local standard operating procedures, depending on a number of things, the workload could go very quickly or it could go very slowly. So to flatten that communication process and structure means that whatever information from top to bottom or bottom to top or laterally needs to be as quick as possible. So if there is information that the people who are going to take action on the information need or will affect them, we need to get it to them as quickly as possible. Again, let's just use an example of a family. Let's say, God forbid, that I have cancer, and I have had cancer. And I've got 4 kids, and one of the times that I was diagnosed with cancer, my wife and I had to decide, what are we going to tell our kids, when are we going to tell them? Because obviously the contents of the information should dictate or guide how much you tell them, how soon. And we agreed to tell them that I was sick, and we weren't quite sure what that would mean in the future, but we would let them know, and we let them know that it was serious. We told more to our older kids. So there needs to be communication strategies that get information from the top to the bottom and bottom to top as quickly as possible. Now let's consider a work situation. I'm in an organization right now of 14,000 people. Some information, if we can get to them quickly, we've got 14,000 minds that can begin to think of possible solutions. Whether the course of action goes this direction or that direction gives them time to prepare, gives us, the leaders, possible additional courses of action or subsets of information and action. So although some information might ramp up their anxieties, depending on what it is, it can also benefit the whole team. Now I know in any group, whether that is your work team, your family, leisure groups outside of work, we don't have time or energy or resources to develop everybody. Let me suggest to you that you spend most of your energy developing two groups of people: the aspiring leaders and the repeat offenders, kind of a top and bottom approach, because the people who are already in leadership and doing well don't need a lot of mentoring. The people in the middle who are functioning well where they are, staying out of trouble, doing good things, they don't need a whole lot of mentoring. But we need to spend time developing, or if we put it this way, kind of that bell curve, because there's a minority of leadership and there's a minority of troublemakers. We need to spend most of our time mentoring those people and specifically developing in them competencies, how to do their job well, and character, people skills, so that the people they interact with, other leaders and other team members, co-workers, those situations go well and there's a win-win trickle effect or ripple effect throughout the organization, throughout the family, throughout the team. Here's another very practical strategy, and that is to have individual teams or sub-teams to develop their own vision statement. The vision statement is a well-articulated statement of a better future and how they're going to get there. Take a sports team, for example. On a baseball team, obviously the goal is to win. That's the better future, very simply. But the offense and the defense, the guys who are up to bat and the guys who are in the outfield, they have different strategies. They need to have a different approach. Special teams on football have a different approach. And so they need to know how are they going to measure success? How are they going to get there? Because if you don't have a target, you'll hit it every time. If you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time, so to speak. So individual teams need to have their own vision statement, not to advertise to outsiders what they do, but to inform those on the team, this is what we specialize in. This is our how we're going to do it. These are our top priorities. This is how we measure success. It's not enough to say the team is going to win. Well, we're the infield team. What does that mean to us? Or we're the outfielders, or we're the defensive linemen. They need to have their own vision statements for that team developed by the team. All right, in order to make this video a little bit shorter, we're going to go ahead and pause it here and pick up 5 more strategies for trust next time. I hope you'll join us then. See you then.
At the release date of this video, I am stationed with Research Development and Engineering Command, RDECOM, at Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland. Because the majority of our personnel are in this area, I spend most of my time here. I do, however, travel to our distant units based on command priorities and budget. I place these videos on YouTube for broad visibility to Army personnel and their families, but I hope the videos will be helpful to others too. If you are assigned to RDECOM and want to request specific topics by video, training on site or by VTC, or confidential counseling on site or by secure webcam, you can contact me at jeffrey.d.dillard.mil@mail.mil.